Okay, amazing. We're recording.
All right.
So, do you want to give me just a quick intro, name, your company, and how you got started in all of this?
Sure. So I'm Joanne Panarisi-Battone, and my company is called Intrinsic Wisdom Coaching. And I got started in the coaching arena um, really many years ago, um, unofficially and then officially, right? Because I've been a leader in organizations. I've studied a lot of different things and have a wide background, if you will, in everything that I've done in the nonprofit sector. Um, and have always believed that we've had our own intrinsic wisdom, hence the name of my business. How I got involved in human design is a couple years ago. And that really was the pivotal point for me and my coaching business because it really married with intrinsic wisdom. Because I've always known there's something deeper within us and was always looking for a tool that was going to be most helpful to help people to transform at a deeper level, but in a practical way.
Yep.
So I love it.
And how, if you could describe human design to somebody who's never heard it before in 30 seconds or less.
Yeah. Yes, 30 seconds or less. Well, that's a great question because a lot of people ask about it. So, human design, it's not something that everyone's going to believe in right away, right? They're like, what is this? So, people really question that. But really, it's a self awareness system that blends ancient traditions with modern frameworks. And it's to help people to better understand how they naturally make decisions, use their energy, and interact with others.
And for, I guess a good follow-up question for this is for a lot of the women that I work with and you work with kind of in the corporate world, what would you say to somebody who thinks this is woo-woo or too out there or who just wants practical answers?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I love about this is that if, if people don't know about it and they think it's
Right.
woo woo, I invite people in to just check it out and try to put their preconceived thoughts, notions, if you will, aside and just experience it. Because as complicated as it might look in the beginning, when you see your body graph, when you see
Mhm.
the information, it's actually a very practical tool and practical system.
And
It's
how would you
yeah.
sorry, I was
No,
gonna say,
no, no, go ahead.
how would you differentiate it from, like, a personality test or somebody who's never heard of this before?
Yeah, the differentiator I think is huge because I've been certified in different personality tests and I've taken a lot of them because that's just who I am. I love this stuff, right? I love diving in deeper and understanding myself and other people, and I've brought it into my leadership. So, what's different is the typical personality assessment is really about asking us questions to answer, right,
Right.
about ourselves. And then we answer it from our mind. We answer it from our mind, which is what we've been taught to understand about ourselves, our own self talk about ourselves, our experiences. And the differentiator with human design is it's literally based on our birth data. So, time, location, date of birth. And it's incredible because it literally gives you a map of who you're here to be. So that's the differentiator. It's not from your mind, it's from who you're here to be based on your birth.
And if a woman or a leader or, anybody who's in the corporate world or work world comes to you feeling like completely lost or stuck in their career, how do you see human design usually reveal what they couldn't see on their own?
Oh, that's a full question and I love it. When people step into it, when women step into seeing their design and go through some of the initial work with me, for certain folks and certain types. So in human designs, there's different types, right? There's 5 different types. That tends to be a game changer right off the bat for
Yep.
many women because one thing, it recognizes who they are and it reflects back to like, yeah, that is who I am. And then it also shows them, I'm going to keep using the phrase who they're here to be, because that's a key
Mhm.
phrase in human design, because we become conditioned, right? To be who we're told to be, to fit into a mold. So when women come in, they're usually feeling frustrated, exhausted, unseen, invisible, um, just wanting it something different. But oftentimes believing they're the problem. There's something
Right.
wrong with them. And it's like it's pretty amazing early on just to learn a bit more about their type, their profile, and just the introductory steps into it. A lot of women are like, "Okay, thank you." It gives people a chance to breathe and women a chance to just sit with that and start recognizing that they're not the problem.
Yeah, that definitely happened for me in our last conversation.
Yeah.
Just having that answer of understanding, "Oh, I'm a projector.
Yes.
This is why I've questioned these systems since I came into this corporate world. This is why none of this ever made sense to me.
Yeah.
This is why I was looking at everybody else thinking, why are you not questioning everything that I'm questioning? Does this seem normal to you?"
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's true. And you mentioned being a projector. So, in human design, I know we can't go too deep into it, but there's 5 different types, like I said. And there's 3 different types within that who, how do I say this so it's clear for people? We don't have a defined energy center. So we are just wired differently than generators and manifesting generators who have made up 70% of the world. So those of us who don't fit into that 70% of the type of the world or types, right? We often are exhausted because that's not how we're meant to be in the world, how we're meant to work or even live in the world. So it's fascinating. So as a projector, you were like, kind of like me. Okay, now I get it. Now it's speaking to me.
Right. And kinda going off of that and off of conditioning and all the steps that we take that we're told to take from societal and familial programming,
Yeah.
what what happens when somebody spends years or even decades, like, operating against their design, and what can that look like in a woman's body,
Mm,
career, relationships?
yeah. Well, you know what? I'll use myself as an example, right? I've been working for many years, decades now. It never felt like I fit in, number 1. Always knew I was different, but was always trying to prove myself, was always trying to hustle like everyone else, and I'm not meant to hustle. I'm meant to
Right.
lead and guide, right? So, the way that showed up for myself over the years was a lot of stress. Now, we can all say that no matter what our type and design is,
Right.
but and for projectors in particular and the way my body graph shows up, it's a lot of energy for me to take in to be in this world and to work in the world of the 70%, right? So for me, it showed up honestly, very strongly when I started studying human design. I really started to understand what it meant to decondition because I went through a period of a year and a half of being sick over and over and over again, which I had not experienced before. I would have the typical cold or whatever, but I went through a lot of immune system issues for a year
Interesting.
and a half, and every time I turned around, I was sick again. I mean, sick, like down sick. So
Yeah.
as I started to get into more alignment and understanding my design, I had to go through that process. And that's just one way that it shows up for folks.
And it could show up health-wise in your body if you're designed to lead, but you're constantly holding in all of your emotions and not speaking up, then that could present itself as autoimmune or even chronic disease.
Sure, absolutely. And some people will hold it in, and at some point, for some people, some women, it will get to a point where you can't hold it in anymore. And then
Right.
you might show up in the workplace in a way that isn't okay. You know what I mean? When you're fed up to that level where you just can't hold it in anymore, and it might come out in ways that then becomes harmful to you and your reputation, right? So it goes both ways, stuffing it in and also then letting it out in ways that's
Right.
not healthy, professional.
Right.
Yeah.
And what would um can you just describe the different design types briefly just to
Yeah.
give people an understanding
Yep.
of what each presents as?
Yeah. So there's like we're saying, there's 5. And I would invite people to also just kind of sink in and think about the work environments that they've worked in and just let this kind of filter in as I talk about it. So the manifester or manifesting initiator, right? There's different language. They are here to spark ideas. They are here to have ideas and spark them for change, for innovation, not to necessarily do the building of the work,
Mhm.
but they're here to spark it. Um, the challenge part for initiators is they don't typically realize that they need to inform others of all of their different sparks because there's a lot of ideas going on, right? So that's really important for initiators. You're here to spark, but you also need to inform people, especially if you're leading a team or whatever it might be, or in your family, it doesn't matter. Then there is the generator and manifesting generator. They kind of go together in that 70% um, number that I gave you earlier of the world, right? So generators are here to build. They are our builders. They're the ones that have to kind of wait for the ideas from other people. I mean, they might have their own ideas too, but wait for that spark and then respond to it. Respond to it so they can help to build the systems, build whatever it is that we're looking at. What's important for them is not to say yes to everything, right?
Right.
Not to respond to everything. But they are builders. Manifesting generators, that next part of that 70%, they have sparks of their own, and then there's other initiators who have sparks. So they want to be able to respond to the spark. Um, but again, they need to inform others, if that makes sense. So they can move a lot quicker
Mhm.
typically than generators. Like they have a lot of ideas, they have a lot of energy, and they move, whether it's in their minds or if they're building something. But they're also considered builders as well. Then there's projectors, and projectors are here to lead and guide. They're not here to do. Um, we are here to see things that other people can't see, and we're really good at systems and seeing what's broken or what's missing, like seeing the gaps.
Right.
So that's why we make great leaders when we work in an environment that honors and understands the differences in all of us. So oftentimes, like you had said, Katie, and I have experienced it as a projector, it's like we didn't realize that other people couldn't see what we can see, right? And that hasn't been a value for most of us in organizations or companies, because the cultures have been doing. Then there is the evaluator reflector, which is the smallest percentage of people in the world. They're only 1%. And they're here to really reflect back to their families, to organizations, what they're seeing, but they need like 28 days to really process. It's really fascinating.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what would be I don't know if this is too hard, but what would be the ideal profession for each
Mm,
or industry maybe for each, um,
yeah.
design?
It's not that cut and dry.
Okay.
What's more important that I've learned by going through all my studying is really going deeper into who you're here to be, but also what really resonates in your soul. I'm going to use the term soul, spirit. What inspires you deeply. We hear the word inspire a lot. We hear purpose a lot, But we often don't know, like, how do we get to our purpose? Not everybody knows what their quote unquote purpose is. When I've studied human design, I've seen and experienced myself align with my purpose. I've always known it.
Mhm.
Yet, what I've done is I've tried to fit in everywhere else. That makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than
I mean, I
trust.
think everybody just wants to belong, right?
Right. Well, right. Exactly. Exactly. So it's not that cut and dry, where, this profession is for these people and so on and so forth.
Right. It's very tailored to each person based off their birth chart.
Yeah. Yep.
And what would be like the biggest mistake a woman could make if they're trying to pivot in their career or they're so dysregulated they want to leave immediately, like not knowing what their design is? How
Yeah.
could that make that worse?
Yeah. And I want to flip that from mistake to choice.
Yeah.
So we all make choices at different points in our lives for many reasons. And when we're that stressed and we're that out of alignment, sometimes we leave jobs without another job lined up because we're just so stressed out. Our body is so dysregulated, our emotions are all of that. Other times we stay way too long and we
Mhm.
don't leave until we're la- we're laid off or whatever it might be, and by that point we are just so spent that again we go back to the health part of it all. Mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health is really been like dampened big time. So we either stay too long or we're just like we're done and we leave, and then it's like okay, now what? Right.
I've done both.
Yeah. Me too. Me too.
Have you noticed in working with clients what shifts when a woman or a leader starts living in alignment with their design? What do you usually see change?
Yeah. I just was chatting in an email with a past client who wants to continue on, but just went through this big change like we're talking about. She actually lost her job, was kind of shocked. She's in an upper C suite leadership role. And what I would coach her on and talk to her a lot about through her design, but also just from a coaching perspective, is trying to step into that gap time, like allowing yourself to calm down, to reset your stress level, reset your body, your mind. And so she just reached out to me yesterday and said, "Oh my God, here's my update. This is what's happening. And thank you because I really stepped into that space, that gap. It was frightening at first to lose my job in that way. It was a shock, and I needed time. I'm now enjoying my family. I am interviewing, and I feel so much better." So it's that um, really just allowing ourselves to heal. Now, I know not everybody has that ability and privilege to be able to do that, to go, okay, I can be home for a bit and take care of myself while I'm interviewing. Some people need the money, right? And the money is a key factor for all of us in different ways. But there's still ways, even if you need the paycheck, to find ways to kind of calm yourself and to relax into who you are and the experiences you're in right now.
Right. I think there's a lot of women, I mean, we know there's a lot of women
Yeah.
that are staying at their job right now because of the rising cost of healthcare,
Yes.
and they need the paycheck, and they need to pay for childcare. So if they can't leave, how can they work with you and work with their design to heal while they're still in this situation?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think what ends up happening, I know because I've done it myself, right? We're so stressed out. It's like, well, I don't have the time for that. I don't have the money for that. I don't have, how is that going to help? Like, we're so stressed that we can't even see what could be right in front of us.
Right.
So I think stepping into human design coaching, the way I've actually structured it is like because there are gonna be some people who just wanna put a toe in, right, and check it out. So I've developed like a 1 month kind of offering for people to check it out in a way where they don't have to commit to 3 months, 6 months, or a year, whatever, so that they can start feeling and that release and that relief immediately, and to see if it's right fit for them, right? And then I step it out into a 3 month so that I've also created a pathway now where I have a client portal where they can go in and kind of self study, but with me guiding them through videos, and then also interactive portal where they can do it on their own time when they can fit it in, and then also have one on one coaching with me. So I'm really shifting the way I'm working with folks. As an executive certified executive coach, the old traditional model was 3 one-hour coaching sessions a month, and it's like it doesn't work for people. So,
Right.
that's how I'm helping women to step into it in a pace that works for them.
How could you take us through the process a little bit of somebody who's just dipping their toe in and they pull their human design off of your website and then they book a consultation with you for the 1 month and how
Yeah.
that process works, and maybe take us through a case study or of somebody who's gone through this process with you and what's
Sure.
changed for them.
Sure. So, if they go on my website, what I would encourage people to do is you can just download your own chart if you want, because it is on there. But I would encourage women to take that next step, which is there's no commitment, there's no cost to it or anything, but to actually do the leadership audit call, which is right on the
Mm,
website as well. So that gets them into the portal. Again, no commitment, but what it does is you can take the leadership audit, and there's simple different areas of the audit that I ask you to really reflect on it and kind of rate yourself, if you will. Give yourself a number, and then once I receive that and the information to run your chart, then I put it together for that, call that we have. So we actually get on a one-to-one call. Again, no cost to anybody, and I bring together some of the elements of human design with their audit so that
mm,
they can kind of get a feel for it and see, and get some more information. Then from there, if it's the right fit and if they're excited about it or just curious or whatever it might be, right? And they're ready to make some movement and truly start the transformation process, then from there we can talk about is that 1 month stepping, putting your toe into the water, if you will, is that the right fit or is it a 3 month or more? So the 1 month is really like, again, I guide people through the process, and by the end, so meaning with recorded videos and slides so that they are using their design in front of them and their report, and they are really contemplating and reflecting on the different questions that I ask in there. So they're kind of like lessons for the
mhm.
mind to start absorbing so that the body and the spirit, soul, and inspiration center, whatever it might be, can start really settling in. And then they'll walk away with a 30-day plan for themselves. And then they have a one on one 90-minute bringing it all together session with me. So that's the 1 month. That's the container of it. And then the 3 month is so I'm building these two. One feeds into the other. So then if they want to go deeper, then the 3 month is really getting into their profile, their type, and their strategy and all of that of how to kind of enter into different situations. And again, same kind of platform, but a different information that goes deeper. And then a lot of interactive ways for us to interact in between sessions in the portal. So again, it creates a rhythm that can work for some people and hopefully a lot of people as I
Mhm.
build it out, and give them that space.
And then last question, is there are there any markers or roadblocks that people might run into, or they might any kind of indication that they're in the wrong industry or they're operating against their design? Like, how can you recognize that before you know what your design is?
Oh, before you know what your design is?
Right.
Oh, I
So
see.
if you're in a workplace and you're if
Yeah.
there are you hitting a roadblock and you just don't really understand
Yeah.
why you can't progress? Like, is there any other indications of I might be living out another person's version of what success looks like?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of indicators. The indicators really are like exhaustion,
Uh-huh.
blaming ourselves that we're the problem. Why can everyone else do this, but I can't? Why am I so feeling so miserable? Why am I not fitting in?
Right.
Why am I not progressing in my job? Like, so even just when I said that, like, why am I not progressing in my job? Well, I'm really unhappy. So how am I going to progress if I'm unhappy? Okay, so what's underneath that unhappiness? And that's what oftentimes we don't pause long enough to do is to look at why we're unhappy, right? We say that it's a toxic work environment, which it is oftentimes. And there's another piece of this of our own self responsibility. So why are we staying in this toxic work environment? What's keeping
Right.
us there? And um, why am I not paying attention to what's going on in me, right? Why am I so exhausted? Why am I blaming myself? Why am I blaming others? All of those kind of things. Why do I feel invisible? Um, those are all key markers, but we tend to push them aside and we just keep going because that's
Right.
how we've been conditioned. Prove
Right.
ourselves, people please, go, 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 keep up with the Joneses, all of that stuff.
Right. Because we choose what's familiar based off of our programming and our subconscious
And
limiting beliefs.
right. It's what
So
we've been
this
taught. It's what we've
right.
been taught to do.
And how can we get in touch with you? How can we what's the best way to reach you on your website, um, and set up an audit?
Yeah. Yeah, I get so excited about audits, to be honest with you. I just love it when people start stepping into it. Whether they move forward with me or not, because you can see the spark in them. So, yeah, my website is intrinsicwisdomcoaching.com. And right there, there's information on the website. And then there's also a way that you can set up your audit call. And then that will prompt you to do your actual audit. And then it'll give me the information, and then we'll get on the call together. It's that simple, quite honestly.
Amazing. Well,
Yeah.
thanks so much.
Well, thank you.
This is amazing.
I love this conversation and the way we have connected, and, yeah, and when we talked about our own designs, it's like, I remember saying to you, "You sure we're not related?"
I think we might be.
I know. Even though everyone's design is totally different, you and I definitely synced up.
Yeah. I mean, that I'm gonna stop the recording,
Yeah.
but, um